Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MLS Now podcast. I'm your host, Russell. You can find me on social media at Mr. Danger Russ. Most importantly, though, you can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. You know, we have a wonderful year ahead of us. 2025 is coming at us hot and heavy already. Here to join me to talk a lot about the upcoming season, about some of the moves that have been going on this offseason. The man, the myth, the legend. Uh, Actually, before that, let me just provide some context here. Normally, this man, myth, and legend does not respond to me when I call him, whenever I text him, none of that. Today, though, I sent him a link to the Jacksonville Jaguars parting ways with their general manager, and he responded immediately in the group chat. So I just want to provide that context that if I was dying in a ditch, that he ignores the phone call. But Jacksonville Jaguars GM departing, immediate reply. You can find this man on social media at LionsBlog1. It's Gavin. Gavin, hello. I've never felt so betrayed in my life. I'm offended, maybe.
Go Jags.
Yeah, I was stunned when it was an immediate reply, because that tells me that you do actually read the group chat and it's just a conscious decision to not respond.
It's not always the case. It was just really good timing.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen the news that Balky was fired, and I was just very excited. And when you sent that over, it just gave me an opportunity to voice my excitement via text.
Wow.
Immediately.
I'm glad that I could do that for you. So you're welcome.
Good man, good man.
Obviously, you're welcome. But I did feel a little bit tossed to the side. So I'm just saying.
Tossed to the side.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, maybe consider responding to a text message not about the Jags every once in a while. That's all I'm saying.
I do.
Okay,
Every once in a while I do.
Every once in a while. That's right. When it's the second full moon of the month and it's a Tuesday at 4:30 in the afternoon, you will reply to a text message.
I'm usually still working at that time.
And that's why. That's why usually I don't ever see text messages from you. But irrelevant to this, Gavin, things to talk about, things going on around the league, things going on outside of the league. But most importantly, Gavin, we are on the clock. I think we're now officially 1 month away from the first matches kicking off.
Yeah, it's coming up quick. It's been a
sure is
quick off season.
It has been. Well, the fact that it's a 2-month off season doesn't hurt either.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Hey, Gavin, you know what? This was very rude of me. I almost wanted to dive straight into soccer. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. I took a nap, and I'm up from my nap. And usually I don't do well when I'm up from my nap. So
understandable. You're like a true adult at this point.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're like a toddler. I don't know. Pick your poison.
I want to scream and shout and let it all out.
Well, that doesn't narrow it down any more than where we were at the start of this. So, hey,
how are you?
You know what? Hey, I'm great. Thank you for asking.
Good to hear.
We got some exciting new music. I hope you were enjoying that.
Playing. I was bopping my head.
Yeah, you were. Hey, well, you can bop your head to it even more. I'll play it just for you. I'll send you a link. Or I won't. Who knows? We'll see.
I could listen to the episode.
You could listen to the episode. You know what, Gavin? Even if I sent you a link, would you really see it?
That's a riddle. That's a good riddle.
That's a riddle, isn't it? That might give you a reason to look at your phone. How about this? At some point within the next week, I'm going to send you a text message with this song file in it.
I'll try to respond.
Yeah, we'll just see. We'll see. Anyways, okay, Gavin, let's talk some soccer. We have been spending a whole 5 minutes. This is record time for us to get to soccer in 5 minutes. I mean, like, unless you want to talk about literally anything other than soccer, but I don't think I have anything,
No, that's the purpose of this podcast.
Right. I have no astrology to talk about. I haven't tried any new exciting coffee recently to talk about, so I guess we have to talk soccer. Now, Gavin, I'm going to start off with the easiest topic that we can do. You might recall there was a big announcement of a cash player transfer market internally within the league being unveiled. Lot going on there, Gavin. Can you recall any moves at all that have happened since they've announced that?
Has the move already happened?
No, I don't believe any moves have happened. Is what
I
that
have.
comes down to.
Oh, there was an offer from FC Dallas to Portland for Evander.
Right, for 12 million.
Boom.
But here's the thing, has not been confirmed, approved, accepted, or anything like that. So,
Oh yeah, Portland shouldn't accept. They should wait. They
right.
should try to get a bid in more.
And I'm sure that they will wait. But that's the only news on the topic. Are you surprised that there hasn't been more movement?
Just for Evander specifically, or just from like any player, cash player trade?
Any activity at all within this mechanism?
No, it just got announced. I know that teams were expecting it, but it just got approved, and there's still time in the window, and multi-million-dollar deals. If this had been around, or if this had been announced and final heading into the transfer window, I think we would have seen more activity. But since we're in the middle of the window, it's like teams made their plans for this window probably 6, 8, 12 months ago. And so this new mechanism, now it's like a wrinkle in their plans almost, and they need to see, can we actually be kind of flexible and change this player for this player, or change something here or there. Instead of a trade, we'll do actual money. So
perhaps,
and then they have to see how that impacts their future plans. So I'm not too surprised that it hasn't been utilized yet, but yeah, I'm not surprised that a bid has gone in for Evander specifically, because he's the one around the league that it's like, you're going to use cash for player trade as an option to get this guy, because he has the quality to win you games on his own consistently.
Well, Gavin, I think you're pretty spot on in that cash for Evander is definitely the play there. I don't think there's enough players in the league that are unhappy with their current environment that warrant the movement right now. And the prevailing storyline is that this mechanism was brought out earlier than intended by the league, and it's driven largely by the fact that Evander and Lucho Acosta had some wishes to either find a different move or get some sort of concessions from their team, right? And so the idea being that the league is better with players like Evander and Acosta within the league, and rather than lose the talent, they would rather facilitate a move to somewhere else in the league for those players.
Because a trade between teams for DPs of that caliber is unprecedented, right?
Yeah,
it never happens.
I don't know how many teams it would even make sense for, because at that point, let's say you give up, salary cap for Evander or for Acosta, right? At what point are you giving up all of that, but now you can't afford to field a competitive team around them because you said, hey, we'll give you a $2.5 million in GAM spread over 2 years. Well, now you got this great player. You got this Lamborghini sitting in your garage, and next to it you have, like a Geo Prism or something, like, just sitting there, taking up space. And it's like, being able to move those players onto your team and not have it affect your salary cap in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that they're a designated player, is a good thing, at least for the league. For the players, TBD. We'll see. So there we go. That was the easiest topic, Gavin. Anything else to add on that?
Gosh, I just as a Orlando City fan, I hope we get him. I hope we bid for him at least. We try to get
Lucho
him.
Acosta. I get it. I understand. Everybody wants him.
No. The younger version, Evander.
I thought you were going to say Lionel Messi, and I was going to be like, I don't know if you know this, but Acosta's actually younger than Messi.
Yeah, crazy.
Crazy, right?
Other than that, no.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that Evander. I don't. Would Orlando spend? I don't say $10 to $15 million for Evander.
We're out there in the market for another DP winger to replace Facu Torres, but obviously Evander's not a winger. And so we did just get a winger for under 22, and it would take that would totally change our strategy to go and get a number 10 for that amount of money versus getting a winger for that amount of money. It's doable.
He's sort of a number 10. He's not as 10-ish as someone like Acosta is.
Yes. That's fair. So we could do it, and we're interested, but it just, where do we decide to pull the trigger, essentially?
Fair. I don't think you pull the trigger on Evander, personally.
We probably don't, which is unfortunate, but yeah.
Well, hey, let's talk about, you're talking about designated players, right? Let's talk about some names, some designated player names, big moves, exciting players who are coming into the league. This is off of just the top of the dome, right? For what I recall seeing this week. Wilfried Zaha, a pretty recognizable name, especially if someone were to say follow the Premier League, for instance. You probably know who Wilfried Zaha is. Wilfried Zaha going to Charlotte. That came out. Miguel Almiron, I don't think is finalized to Atlanta, but it sounds like at this point, T's being crossed, I's being dotted. Dies being audited.
It happens.
Right. So Almiron back to Atlanta. Sounds like it's in final stages. Not finalized, but sounds like everything points to yes. Shake the magic 8 ball. Signs point to yes. Kevin Kelsey to the Portland Timbers, former FC Cincinnati player, joins the Timbers on a U22 initiative. I think $6 million fee. Again, notable. I think Almiron was a 10 or a 12 million fee. So
I think I saw 12, yeah.
Yeah. Again, not small amounts of money we're throwing here. Jonathan Bamba to Chicago Fire from Celta Vigo. I don't recall seeing how much that one was worth. I don't know if you saw a number there, Gavin.
I think I saw 2 million for Bamba.
So he's getting paid a lot, because 2 million alone does not make someone a designated player. And I believe he is joining as a designated player for Chicago.
That is also what I read. So must be a high pay rate.
Well, yeah. Hey, good for him.
Yeah.
And then new kids on the block, Luca De La Torre going to San Diego, as well as Anders Dreyer, both going to San Diego. Dreyer's a DP, I believe. De La Torre is going to be a DP as well.
Is he?
I know Dreyer is. I can't imagine.
Dreyer is.
Yeah, I can't imagine De La Torre being not a DP unless he's just there on like loan or something.
I'm reading through the article real quick. I don't see anything calling him a DP.
Dang, what a coup for them if you've got Luca De La Torre for not a DP.
Yeah, he must just be a TAM. He must be a TAM. There's no way he's just a regular senior player.
Yeah, I mean, it must be, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking
Impressive.
as well, and it looks like a quote was saying, yeah, he is on loan. So
okay, he's on loan. That's right.
He's on loan. So yes, that would make sense. He is not a designated player.
Yeah.
So there we go. So we figured that out.
What are we thinking of San Diego? I think this is another impressive piece of business.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You've got Chucky Lozano, designated player, right? Anders Dreyer, designated player. Luca De La Torre, not a designated player. probably is the type of player that you would expect to be a designated player in terms of caliber, but they have him on loan, so he's not hitting the roster as a DP, which good piece of business there. Where I remain concerned is what does the rest of the roster look like? Because MLS, from a talent standpoint, I mean, Wilfred Zaha, right? MLS has always swung for the fences to bring in big names. Wilfred Zaha, great, big name. Brought in Lionel Messi, maybe biggest name you could think of, right? Brought in Busquets, Suarez. Back in the day, they had Thierry Henry, who came in. Christian Benteke is here now. Like, big names come and go in MLS, but to compare, right? The level of talent in MLS as an average when Henry was here and the level of talent in MLS now is very different.
Very different.
So
yes.
if you're building a team with exceedingly talented players and then your average level of the rest of your squad is below the average level in MLS, I don't think you will fare as well as you think you're going to fare. Now, that said, again, I don't, it's still early days for San Diego. On paper, right, moves like De La Torre on loan speak to savvy business and that they know how to get good players while maneuvering around the salary limitations.
Yeah. The worry I have for them is Lozano has never really been a super prolific goal scorer at club level. He's had a couple of good seasons, right? But I don't think he's been insanely prolific throughout his career. And so is he going to randomly come to the fore and score goals? That's genuinely what I'm worried about. And if it's not him, is it going to be that striker, Marcus Ingvartsen? Is he going to be the one that is there? Who's going to be the goal scorer, essentially? Is it Ingvartsen? Essentially, is my question. And that's what I'm excited to see. Is that someone who is good enough to go and get 15 goals, 20 goals in a season for you? Because if so, then I do think the squad should be decent enough to be competitive, but you need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. And, Luca De La Torre, he isn't a significant goal scorer either. Lozano, no. I don't know a lot about Dreyer, so maybe he is as well. I can look him up real quick, but that's my question that I'm really eager to see what the answer is.
Well, I am looking up Dreyer right now for you.
Okay.
Plays nominally as a right winger, most recently for Anderlecht. 69 appearances, 26 goals. That's
decent.
Yeah, that's not insignificant
for a winger.
Yeah. And then was in, let's see here, was with some Danish clubs. Did okay. I mean, he was scoring 0.5 goals per 90. Well, 0.5 goals per appearance, if you consider, 16 appearances, 8 goals, 10 appearances, 5 goals. Whether or not those are full 90s, I don't have that stat pulled up. So the numbers have looked okay. I mean, the Belgian league in terms of skill is not far off of MLS. But those 26 goals across 69 appearances is for 2023, 24, and 25. So if you say, let's say he hits 10 goals, 11 goals a year in MLS, that's good. But if your highest scoring player is 10, 11 goals, you're not winning.
Then you need
anything.
You need all your players, not all your players, but you need all your attacking options to be hitting 10 to 11 if you're going to be realistically competitive.
Yeah, I'm looking, because again, I'm looking back at some teams that have won in MLS, right? And it's like, I don't know, look at LA LA Galaxy in last year was what? They were 69 goals forced. Like if we say that a team that's going to win trophies, let's say you would expect them to score at least 55, 60 goals. Let's set the line at 60 goals in a season
Mm-hmm.
if
Yep.
you're going to win trophies. That's you're asking a lot. Like to have say five players that are in double digits, like in the tens, or you need say like two players in the 20s and then like one in the 10 and then like everyone else contributes three or four. Like that's not happening all the time.
No, yeah. So that's the big question. It's gonna be, and maybe maybe Lozano just totally blows up, and he used to be a goal scorer earlier on in his career, right? From what I recall, but it's been a while since that's the case. But maybe this move will be what's needed to set his career off again, and he'll blow up and score 18, 16 goals or whatever, and the
Yeah,
others will chip in and help get the squad up to 55, 60, which would be really fun. But I
it
don't know
would
if
be.
they have that quality as a squad yet.
I don't know. I that's and I
We
think
don't know.
of yeah, a first year. I mean, first year in MLS can go very, very well, or it can go very, very not.
Usually it does not go well. So.
I would say it is rare to go very, very well. Maybe you just end up being average, right? Not everyone's gonna be Cincinnati first year in MLS.
Not everyone's going to be St. Louis either.
Right. I think most teams fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Um, I guess we went straight to San Diego, but when you were talking about DPs in general,
Mm-hmm.
I think Zaha to Charlotte could be a big move for them.
Could be.
They've struggled since coming into the league to get DPs who are really impactful. Unfortunately, I saw today that Swiderski is probably leaving, which will open up another spot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because they got Beal back without a DP tag, so that opened a spot, and then losing Swiderski will open another spot. So they need it. They need to hit on their DPs if they want to do anything. And their fans are going to be clamoring for some success here. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a trophy, but like some competitiveness. Now, we know Charlotte as a team, since they've joined the league, have been pretty good at home, which is good. But they are that stereotypical good at home, terrible away. And, if they can turn that into pretty decent away and good at home, well, then we're looking at a serious outfit. So
Yeah.
I like
But
the Zaha move. I think he's someone who can. We've seen him from watching the Premier League. He can create on his own. He can score goals on his own. He can assist. And if he can stay fit for Charlotte, I think it's a great move.
big if. And
Big
that
if.
that to me is a potential worry there is if you're putting this much outlay and this much effort into a player like Zaha, if something were to happen and your drop off is like, let's say, it goes from like Zaha to someone like Miguel Berry, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Big trouble. Big trouble.
Yeah. I don't know. Look, I like Zaha, right? You and I are both being Arsenal fans, would have been thrilled to see him play for Arsenal if that had worked out in the past, and it didn't. So seeing him in league for MLS is maybe it's a close second place to what we would have liked to have seen.
Any other incomings you want to highlight from that DP list?
No, not necessarily. I think for me, I want to throw something your way as a topic here, and I would like to have this be a topic in general for the season. It will be easier when we get further into the season, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But stock up / stock down for some players.
Okay.
Obviously, in this case, we don't know anything about the players. So let's say for the teams that we've talked about, stock up and stock down, based on, and it doesn't have to be just the designated players, but based on the transfer news that you've seen so far.
Okay. Are you throwing teams at me, or am I coming up with mine?
I'm good to do either way. You can come up with your own if there's one you really, really, really feel strongly about, or I can just throw some random ones your way.
Looking at the list of teams here. Oddly enough, I want to start with LAFC, and I know they finished first in the West, in the regular season. But oddly enough, I have them as a stock up. The Abobase signing, I like that one. They
Good
just
sign.
announced today Marky Delgado, who to me has been just such an underrated player throughout his time in MLS. Just wherever he goes, he seems to find success.
He's a great glue guy.
Great glue guy, and he might not start every game now, but just thinking of his career, because he went from Toronto to LA Galaxy, and now he's going from LA Galaxy to LAFC for $400K GAM. That was announced today. That to me, or either today or earlier this week, I can't remember. But that's another solid option for LAFC in midfield. They also announced a young kid, Igor Jesus, or Jesus, I don't know exactly how to say it, in midfield. They got the loanee from Celtic in midfield, so they're really revamping their midfield. They brought Aaron Long back in, and I think just overall, they are really up in the quality across their squad. And I don't think they've really lost a whole lot of quality in the players that they did lose. So for me, LAFC is a stock up, would be my first team to pick on.
That's fair. I'm going to go to the other side of the country. I'm going to go in honor of Bryce, who I think is trapped in Atlanta right now with all the delays and cancellations.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to take Atlanta United as a stock up. They are a stacked front office, right? Extreme success within executives like Lagerwey, Chris Henderson. You know that they work well together. You've seen what they can do with teams like Seattle and Miami. Most importantly, they seem to be going out of their way to try and get the fans back on board. I mean, the Almiron signing and the fact that they're going to go and bring a proven MLS guy he's not totally over the hill, right? I mean, Almiron's 30 years old. That's still, there's plenty left in the tank at 30, especially for a player of his caliber. So not only are they bringing back a good MLS player, but I mean, if you're an Atlanta fan, it's almost like a statement of intent that you're saying, we want to get back to success as a team, and we're going to do that by bringing back players who saw success with us to help us get there. Now, if they go back and get only the players that led them to MLS Cup, then, obviously that's a different conversation, right? But
right.
Almiron still has what it takes to be successful in MLS. And I mean, it's a level of outlay that, it's still going to be 12 million, right? That shows commitment to trying to do right by the project.
So agree with all that 100%. And Atlanta, definitely one of the more ambitious clubs in the league, willing to spend. We all know that. The only thing that concerns me is this is something that I feel could go a little sour quicker than other transfers, because Almiron left, and we all have an image in our head of what he looked like when he played for Atlanta. Running through midfield in transition, creating goals, scoring goals, 20 assist seasons. I don't remember the exact totals, but it felt like he was just had insane numbers. I'd have to go back and look. They were insane. That is not wrong. And then he leaves, sets the record for the transfer in MLS, I believe, right? 28 million, something like that, for leaving MLS. Now he's coming back, and the last image of him was that player. And is that player still in there? Probably not. He's a really good player. I think he's going to score goals. I think he's going to get assists. But that player, that was like one of the best players the league has ever seen. And if he doesn't hit those heights, I do think there is a potential for it to not necessarily go sour, but like just to feel a little bit disappointing. And so the expectations are going to be sky high for him. And, it's a new coach, it's a new system, new group of players that he's coming into. And it's everything's different. And if he doesn't meet those expectations that are very, very high, I could see some negativity there. But hopefully not. Hopefully everything works out just fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think to your point, he's not going to be the same Almiron that we saw leave the league. He will need a team around him that can help him more than the help that he needed, or rather didn't need, when he was here initially.
And he had a lot of help. I mean, he had Josef Martinez banging in goals. They had a super solid defense, super solid midfield. Everything was stacked for Atlanta in those 2017, 18, 19 teams. And they're just a different club right now.
Yeah. They will need to build the team back out. And if they do, Almiron will still be completely fine.
Yeah. So I'm liking this concept. I've got another team, unless you got anything else to say on Atlanta.
No, go ahead. Go take your pick.
I agree with your stock up there. Overall, stock down, Philadelphia.
Yep, agree.
They lose their coach. Not lose, but they part ways with their coach, really. And they just haven't really done much in the transfer market. They've re-signed Bedoya, so that's not doing anything. That's not moving the needle. In fact, that's probably moving the needle a little bit backwards, because you could have a better player in that same squad slot, probably. And then they signed a defender on loan, Ian Glavinovic. Don't know anything about him, obviously. But they've lost Jack Elliott, and that's a big player to lose. They've also lost Leon Flock, Joaquin Torres, and then another notable one is Sam Adeniran, also lost. And they just haven't really replaced any of those players other than Jack Elliott, you would assume, in the defender they loaned in. And so one of the better coaches in the league is gone. Some of their important squad players or starters are gone. And just doesn't look like there's a whole lot of activity finalized yet. I'm sure there's activity going on in the background, but not a lot of finalized stuff right now to say that Philadelphia are going to be even in a playoff position this time, or not this time, but going into the playoffs next season.
Do we know that there's anything going on in the background? I mean,
I haven't heard any rumors.
Yeah, they have historically not been a very spendy team. I mean, I almost think of it more as who are we going to see from their academy make a difference this year? Because that seems like it's going to be their most likely source of that next big player for them.
Yeah, I'll have to. I'm scrolling through Jonathan Tannenwald's timeline, because he usually has all the good stuff, but I'm not seeing much. I've seen some NFL stuff here.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there's really much in there. I feel like I need to take a West Coast team for a stock down, and the problem is the team that I would normally take would be San Jose, right? Except that they're basically
your default stock down.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: they're basically New England from 2 years ago at this point, and New England 2 years ago was a perfectly fine team, which really has me kind of in this weird spot where it's like I don't think New England I don't think New England 2.0, right? Like I don't think San Jose are going to be an amazing team this year, but I think they'll be respectable, and I don't know if being respectable is enough for a San Jose side that has been dreadful for so long. But I don't know, maybe that's like a wait and see type thing, and I feel like that's a cop out. Maybe
I've got a Western stock down for you to consider.
Is it RSL and or Houston?
It was RSL, so
Yeah.
I
Okay.
guess
Well,
there we go.
those were the two that also came to mind. I mean, Houston kind of jumps out to me because they have been getting rid of players. I mean, they lost Ache, obviously that no love lost there with the way that he went out there in the playoffs and some of the actions that he had. And, I don't think fans will be overwhelmingly sad to see him go. And then I think Sebas is gone for them as well. I think they actually even bought him out, which is
Hey,
fascinating
he was. I
considering
mean, he wasn't great for them.
he wasn't, but that's a designated player. Like that's, I
He
mean,
wasn't he wasn't playing for them. That's how bad he was. Like he was a complete
yeah.
failure of a transfer.
And I feel like getting rid of Ache and Sebas, like normally that should be a stock up, but I don't think I've seen them bring anyone in either. So like
They
I
also just I don't maybe I missed it, but Karaskia left as well.
yeah, Coco Carrasquilla also gone. And like that was probably the one bright side for Houston. So I don't know. I mean, again, it's like on paper they should be a stock down, but I feel like they have so much potential. Like all the all the canvas in the world is opened up to them. Like they could go out and get multiple great designated players, or they could go sign Sebas 2.0 three times over.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much I trust them to not do that.
Just for I'm looking at the listing here. Jimmy Maurer,
Mm-hmm.
goalkeeper. Daniel
Don't love
Steers,
that.
defender. Eric
Don't love that either.
Duenas, midfielder.
Stock down. Yep, I'm firmly in the stock down as you're
And then
naming
an
off some of these
MLS
names.
an MLS Next Pro guy, Obafemi Awadesu. I haven't heard of him. So that's it. That's their ins. They have no DP ins, and
No,
um, it's not looking great.
I'm sold. It's a stock down. Maurer I think was with Dallas most recently,
It,
and Maurer's time in Dallas was definitely done. And I don't think Houston needed to be the team that signed Maurer. Now, obviously, teams have more than one goalkeeper. He might not be their plan for like long term, right? But I still think if you're gonna get like a glue guy, like an MLS experienced guy, just to have on a roster as like a backup or mentor thing, there's probably also better options in the event that you also need them to play. So,
yeah. Well, I like this as a concept heading into the season. We should keep it around.
all right, well, we will. Um, hey, one other just off the cuff thing. It's not even on my list. Golden Boot, like throw two or three names, like contenders for Golden Boot initially. No, no context. You have no insight beyond what we know right now in this moment. Names that you expect to see compete. Doesn't have to be win, but you think they're going to be on that list of like in the top five, like goal leaders on the MLS stats website towards the end of the season.
Okay, Messi. Sorry. Um, hate to do it.
My cat hates it too. He
Yeah.
shouted the second you said Messi's name.
Hugo Kuipers.
Tim, is that you?
I think I rate Berhalter as a coach more than other people do. And I'm not saying he's amazing, but like he's a competent coach. And I think he'll probably turn out to be one of the above average coaches in the league. Think it this way. I think he's better than Fanny Sartini.
How so
Yeah.
very dare you?
The Vanny Sartini index.
I no that. How dare you insult our king on this show, Vanny Sartini?
Sorry. And he's getting some talent. Chicago's getting some talent on their books. You know, we just talked about Bamba coming from Celta Vigo. Kuipers is going into his second season. We know how the first season usually goes with these big DPs, strikers especially. So second season. They did get Elliott in, so they have a solid defender there. And just overall, I think there's some good momentum for the club. It feels like there's some good vibes heading into the new season. They seem to be getting some things on track. And I'm not saying they're going to be amazing. I'm not saying they're going to win the league or anything. Shoot, Benteke won Golden Boot, and they didn't even DC. What? They didn't even make the playoffs, right? So like, I think Kuipers is going to get a lot of goals this season. So I think he'll be in that top five. That's a name I want to throw out there. Uh, who else? If they get it across the line, I could see Latte Loth for Atlanta.
That would be an interesting one for sure.
He's got quite a bit of goals in his career, so I know it'll be his first season, but they'll be relying on him to get a lot of goals.
What about Kevin Kelsey, Portland?
No.
Now, listen, hear me out. Kelsey was exceedingly hot in his start with Cincinnati.
Yep, I remember that.
And then Cincinnati kind of fell off, and it wasn't just Kevin Kelsey. Like, all of Cincinnati kind of fell off. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, because Portland showed quite the proclivity for scoring last year, we know that Kelsey can do it when he gets service. Now, obviously, Evander's going to be gone.
Yep, that's my concern.
But if they replace Evander with anyone, even 80% of Evander, I think their scoring issues are not going, like, they're not getting back to a spot where it's like they're never scoring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Kelsey will be completely fine leading the line for them.
Okay. My concern is the creativity.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is a very fair concern.
Last name I'll throw out on my end, and then you can throw some more in here. Chicho, San Jose. Him and Espinoza, I think, could form a pretty good partnership. And Espinoza's pretty creative. Chicho's pretty goal-scory. So I think that could lead to lots of goals for him.
Did a Bruce Arena team ever have a Golden Boot winner?
I mean, I'm sure a long time ago, yeah. With the Galaxy teams, right? I'd have to look it up, but... Because they didn't have one when they won when they set the record in 2021, right?
I don't think so, no. I'm just wondering if San Jose will be a lot of team effort type setup. Which, I mean, if you have a lethal goal scorer in Chicho, maybe it doesn't matter how much team effort you have, but if it's expected that they play team effort and be selfless, I mean, Chicho could be in running to be MVP. I don't know if he'll win good Golden Boot, though. You know, he might get like a Carlos Gil type thing where he ends up getting, like maybe 20 goals scored and 15 assists, and that should probably get you in the conversation for MVP.
Right. Yeah, could be. So those are my options. You have any others you want to throw out there?
I'll say Kevin Denke for FCC, but I think it requires the exact same caveat that Kevin Kelsey has for Portland, where it is heavily reliant on the creator position getting figured out. Whether it means that Acosta is fully bought in for Cincinnati, which I'm not sure if that happens at this point, or if they move him and get someone who is equally good, I don't know. But if they don't figure that situation out, Denke, I don't think will get even close. And if they do get it figured out, then I think that he'll be somewhere near that list. I don't know if he'll win it because, again, first season in MLS, we know the struggle of strikers season one.
Yep.
So, and then I think Benteke, you gotta
see if he keeps up that form.
Right.
Which will be difficult.
And I guess Suarez is back for another season as well, so
yeah.
And he wasn't far off of it either.
There were some people.
I mean, I thought he was going to miss half the season.
MVP.
Well, I said he should have been MVP. He contributed more than Messi did, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's Messi, so.
Yep. I waffled in my head on Peck. Like, could Peck go absolutely nuclear this year? But I don't know because
Yeah.
they're a
Isn't
team that shares the goals around.
they do, and isn't Ricky Pooge out for like a
Yeah, he's
fairly
out till
long
like
time?
July, something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure Galaxy are going to be completely fine. I just don't know if what their scoring situation is going to look like sans Pooge for that long.
I think it just puts the creative onus on Peck, Paintsil, Joveljic. Um, well, not so much Joveljic, but Peck and Paintsil. So they're gonna rely heavily on them. So yeah, maybe it won't work there. But yeah.
We'll see. Certainly.
And the last one I thought of, but I was waffling on as well, but I went against it. I would love your thoughts on this. Is Jesus Ferreira? I think he could come in and be like have a lot of momentum, but Seattle just have so many games this season, and this caveat also goes for Miami. But there's just so many games this season, and there's gonna be. I think legs are gonna get tired toward the end of the season. I don't know if he's gonna have the legs to be in a Golden Boot race. Just
No,
thinking of
I
Club
think
World
you're
Cup
right.
and CONCACAF Champions League.
I think you're 100% right. I don't put him even in the top five.
Probably not. He'd have to really hit a lot heavy form.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Ferreira hasn't had that form.
In a
Certainly not
while.
last season. Yeah.
Last couple seasons, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I think he'll be fine for Seattle, but I think Seattle will be a similarly like share the goals around type team. And if you get Ferreira to 15 goals, then you say, hey, not bad, pretty good transfer him. I also think there's every possibility he doesn't get 15 league goals. So
A very realistic possibility, probably.
cool, cool. Well, it was a fun little exercise, Gavin. Thank you
Yeah.
for humoring me in that.
Yeah.
We will continue the stock up, stock downs. Maybe we'll look at players a little bit more frequently once we get further into the season and see players across the league putting in good and or bad performances. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, you will have to wait about a month to do that exercise. So we'll stick with teams for now.
Do you want to? I don't know where you're going next, but do you want to talk about outgoings?
I had an idea of where to go next. We can briefly talk outgoings, but that wasn't gonna be my next topic.
Okay. We can go to your next topic, but I do think there's some big outgoings we should cover.
Okay, well, we can cover the outgoings now because it makes sense since we're talking about it.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want to just completely jump around topics wise, which I'm fine with for the record.
I think we talked about Carrasquilla already, going to Pumas, which you talked about Liga MX rating our players. We've seen quite a few Liga MX transfers this window already. I think Austin selling Driussi. Wow. I don't know how they managed to sell him personally, because he's been not great these past 1.5 seasons, really. So the fact that they were able to get some money recouped from that transfer, good business by Austin.
How much did they pay for him initially? Like, not only
Wasn't
did
it
they recoup
7?
money,
Wasn't it
they might
7
have
million?
made money.
I want to say they got him for like 7 million. I can't remember exactly what it was.
I think they turned like obviously wages, take those out, right? I think they turned a profit.
Sorry,
You're
just
drawing a blank.
I'm typing in here to see if they have it in the announcement. How much they paid for him. I don't see a figure in here. Just scanning through it quickly. I'd have to go. We'd have to do some more digging. But yeah, that is so. No. I don't know. I'm not finding it.
All right. Well, I will set you free from your burden then, and we'll keep talking about players so that you can get on with your life instead of staring at a computer screen for even more hours in a day than you already do. And instead, you can stare at my face, Gavin. You can stare at my face and you can think not just of me, but you can think of the listeners who appreciate all the research you're doing live.
Absolutely. There was another outgoing There's another big outgoing, wasn't there?
Was there?
Why can't I think of it? Oh,
I don't.
Tolkien.
Uh,
I'm just gonna miss him. I'm just gonna miss him.
Are
I'll be
you?
frank. I'm gonna miss him in the league.
Are
He's
you
fun.
going to miss him? Because already the supporters of the team he went to are upset about some of his social media activity.
Oh, really?
And it even made like the social media news or something, and it's like people were upset about him expressing support on statements about like different gender roles and gender equality, vaccines, and then as well they had to include it as well as the shape of the planet.
Look, I'm gonna miss watching him as a player.
I'm not
But
convinced that you're not going to miss the drama.
yeah, there's always something fun
We
with
won't
him.
get headlines like that anymore with him gone.
No, no, we won't.
What a loss. What a loss for the league.
I think it was a good sale for Red Bulls. They get 3 million. So it'll be interesting to see I don't know if we will see or not, but assuming that they convert, that's the word I'm looking for. Assuming they'll convert that 3 million into GAM, they have quite a bit of flexibility now to work with, and we'll be interested to see what they do with it.
Well, I did see that they are supposedly in discussions with a team about maybe making a sale of Dante Van Zier as well. I don't.
Oh yes, I did see that.
I don't remember the team that they were linked with on that. I want to say it was maybe like a Belgian or a German team.
Yeah, some European team. I remember seeing that too. If they could get rid of him, do it. Do it, do it, do it. That would be great business. They could get some millions for him.
Yeah, some millions, as in
Some
more
millions.
than one.
Yes.
I want to say the number being tossed around was 2 or 3.
Hey, take it. Take it and run.
I suppose, right? Whatever you can get. Not an outgoing, but well, it is an outgoing, but the player wasn't really back in the first place. Alvaro Barreal goes back out on loan to another team. He was with who was it, Cruzeiro, and now he's with Santos, who rumor has it are in negotiation to see the return of Neymar Jr.
Barreal out on loan again.
Yes, again, yes.
Why?
Don't question it.
Either keep him and play him because he's one of the better players in this league, or sell him. Don't loan him. What good does that do for you? I don't get it.
The answer is that they had a chance to sell him previously, and the general manager decided that nobody met his valuation of Barreal, and then he couldn't sell Barreal later, so he sent him on loan, and then Barreal got injured on loan, so now still nobody wants to buy him.
And so he's hoping that this next loan goes well enough to sell him for that valuation.
You're right. And Cincinnati is in a current salary purgatory where even if they wanted to have Barreal come back, the amount of hoops they would need to jump through to make compliance with him on there is even more challenging than the number of hoops they need to go through right now to comply without him on the roster. They're quite a ways away from compliance as it stands.
Yeah. Great squad building.
Yeah, that's unfortunately it seemed like the approach was a my way or the highway type approach with some player sales and movement, and that's coming back to bite the front office and the rear end on this one. But
yeah,
that has been covered extensively by some FC Cincinnati podcasts. I know our correspondent Nate with the You Ain't Lying podcast, I know they talked about it extensively as well. You can always go listen to them if you want some insight into what's going on in the FC Cincinnati locker room and front office right now. It's a mess.
Yeah.
is what that is.
3 players not showing up to preseason is a mess. I think that's a good way to put it.
That is a mess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it for outgoing, so we can move on to your topic.
Okay. Well, hey, I think this is timely because if I'm not mistaken, the U.S. men's national team is playing right now as we speak. Pochettino has apparently not discontinued the MLS quota that people say existed under Berhalter, and in fact seems to even approve of U.S. men's national team players in MLS because he wants players to be playing, not sitting on the bench.
I think many national team coaches are like that.
Yeah. So initial reactions to that is my first question that I pose to you, but the follow-up question to that is, do you think this will spur some of the fringe to, first off the bench US national team players to come back to MLS from Europe if they're not getting consistent starting minutes?
Yes. There's a home World Cup coming up in 1 year time, 2026. It's 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And players are going to be eyeballing that. And they need to be playing. And if they're not playing, well, get me somewhere where I'm going to play. And if that's MLS, if that's in the league, in the United States of American League, get me over there as soon as possible so I can show my stuff and be within a shot of making that roster. Absolutely, I think some of those French players, I mean, look at De La Torre, right? That's one of those players who's, he was on the World Cup roster, but he didn't really play a whole ton in the World Cup. And so he's going to want to be on the roster again, and he's going to want to make sure that he's playing and in good form. And if MLS is the best place to do that, then yeah, here he is.
Should Gio Reyna come to MLS?
I would love Gio Reyna to come to MLS. I want them all to come to MLS. Pulisic, come to MLS.
But should Reyna come to MLS is the question.
Well, where is he now?
Isn't he with Dortmund?
I know he went to Nottingham Forest on loan, and he didn't do great.
He didn't. He didn't even get much playing time.
Yeah. He must still be there.
Yeah.
Maybe a loan to MLS wouldn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can't seem to stay fit ever. And he was obviously a big point of contention during the World Cup, which we know all the drama there. Yeah, I think a loan to MLS would be great for Gio Reyna. And I think the league should be testing the waters on that situation if he is still at Dortmund.
Yeah, he is still signed there. I don't think the loan for Nottingham Forest has ended yet, but I don't think it's not.
Oh,
it's not exactly
ended.
It doesn't say that it's ended, but I don't think it's really working out. He only made 9 appearances with Nottingham Forest so far, because it said it was a 2024 loan. So I don't know if that's officially ended yet.
I thought it ended at the end of last season. Yeah, he's back with Dortmund this season.
Okay, well there you go. Then yes,
6% starting 11. By the way, per Transfermarkt, 10% of his minutes,
playing.
10% of minutes.
Yeah,
in
needs
the league
to be playing.
Yeah, loan him in someone. Maybe Orlando can do that. Loan in Gio Reyna.
I mean, at that point, lean on Poch and be like, "Hey, tell these players if you want to play, go somewhere you will get minutes. Yeah. I don't care where it is. If you want to go to MLS because they promise that you're going to play, don't feel like that means that I'm never going to pick you because look at this. I'm calling up players who play in MLS.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, the final whistle just went a couple minutes ago.
Did we win? How'd we do?
USA won 3-0. Brian White, Caden Clark, and Patrick Agyemang with the goals.
Brian White already using one of his very limited supply of goals for 2025. Yeah. Using it at the U.S. men's national team level is a choice.
By the way, Miljevic did get on the field again. Did you see all that hubbub?
Yeah.
Insanity.
Oh, soccer is not for the faint of heart.
It's for the players who will throw punches during soccer
Yeah,
games.
will throw punches in rec league soccer games in Montreal, playing off the record under a fake name while they're under contract for a professional club.
Yeah. Oh, didn't he scored, didn't he? In the last game?
No, he went to go take a penalty and took it poorly and missed.
Oh, he missed. Okay, that's what it was.
That's what you're thinking of. I mean, maybe he scored. That
I
wasn't
thought
the
he
penalty.
scored.
I can tell you he missed the penalty.
I do know that, and people were hating on him for it.
As they should.
Hold on, I'm just gonna check real quick. I feel like I'm losing my mind.
I'm gonna go ahead and make us lose this topic, and we're gonna go somewhere else.
Miljevic did score on the January 18th. He scored the third against Venezuela.
Okay.
Okay, we can move on.
Well, he missed the PK, so
yes, very badly.
Could have had two.
Yeah.
Gavin.
Oh.
I don't know if you heard the news.
Probably didn't.
But extra time is done.
Okay, I did hear that news.
Yes. So, which this leads me into an interesting question. What does the media associated with MLS actually look like in the future? Not just this season, but going forward. Is it an emphasis and leaning into like documentary style storytelling, a la like, a Welcome to Wrexham type endeavor where you're following around players and seeing their lives and seeing, the good and the bad and, talking to, fans or people behind the scenes? Is it something like a Hard Knocks style? Are you doing like small episodic content, like, almost like an anthology style where it's like you're not necessarily following around any one player for a long period of time, but like week over week, it's a different person, different team? I mean, maybe they don't even lean fully into that. I mean, do they lean into like social media and like, short form content? How does MLS stay relevant, and what do you think actually works? Because, I mean, Extra Time was a long running institution.
Yeah, I don't know, because I'd like to see the league get a little bit more standard media coverage, where it's like it's not people who are employed by the league who we're listening to.
They're not going to get that, for the record.
I know. Like,
I wish they would.
Extra Time media people employed by the league speaking about the league. And it's like, well, why can't Fox Sports have a talk show about the league, or ESPN have a talk show about the league, or whatever? And like, they kind of do, what's the Herculez Gomez show? But they talk about more than just MLS, which I guess is fine. But then, people don't want to tune in for that. They want to listen to only MLS or something like that. So,
or they don't want to listen to MLS at all, and they only want to listen to Liga MX or
Liga
Premier
MX,
League or La Liga.
And so that's where I think there could be success, is seeing people outside the league who are willing to criticize. Which I didn't listen to Extra Time, to be fully transparent. I listened to it. I listened to it at some points throughout my life, and it was a great show. I didn't listen to it week over week. And I mean, I'm sure they criticize the teams and they criticize players and they criticize the league here at times, but the feeling when you're employed by the league is that you're a league mouthpiece, and you're not speaking all your true feelings per se. Just from a imaging perspective. So for me, the ideal scenario would be to have multiple different outlets having multiple different media types covering the league, that are not employed by MLS.
You know why I don't think that's ever going to happen, Gavin?
Why do you never think that will happen?
That would require MLS to have transparency. And
Expand on that.
MLS hates transparency.
It's getting better.
It is okay. Here's the thing, Gavin. It's taken 26 years to get a one-pager summary of what teams' rosters look like.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You have minimal media presence in like locker rooms. You can't really interview or talk to players without it being tightly controlled. Media events, and now I understand some of this is governed by the player's contract, right? The MLSPA is going to have guidelines and say, you know, hey, here's what you can and can't do as a player, and here's how much time you can and can't spend at, say, media events, fan events, all this, right? I get it. But the access to what people care about, which is the players and the stories, is so heavily controlled by MLS, and that content is so strangled. I mean, you're never going to see people talk about it because they're going to be like, it's more effort, it's more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah. And the income, the return on investment, it's not going to be high right now for any of those major networks.
No, I mean, like, would people watch it? Sure, but it's not something that's going to boost ratings. It's not something that you're going to be able to sell primetime commercial slots on during an MLS segment of, you know, Around the Horn or pardon the interruption or anything like that. Could they include it? Sure. But even if they included it, how much time and effort is going to go into getting content, getting stories on a daily basis for these shows? The answer is you'd never be able to.
You're right.
Not with the way it's set up.
They're only going to cover the major stuff that has people talking.
Right. Messy.
More than people in MLS talking. General sports fans talking. And that's very rare topic to come out of MLS. Messi, Suarez, things like that.
Right. Or it gets onto ESPN for like the not top 10. And it'll be like it'll be like
a joke, yeah.
Yeah, like not top 10. This player kicked it back to the keeper, and the keeper missed it and sent it into his own goal.
Yeah.
And then everyone's going to be like, ha ha. Funny.
MLS sucks.
Yeah, funny soccer in America, not a real league.
Yeah, which is a bummer. I think they're just going to be pushing what they're going to be pushing is Apple TV and, MLS 360 there and all of the content that Apple TV is currently pushing out. Because they do some little things here and there covering players and interesting storylines here and there. And they have season previews and club overviews and whatnot, little 10-minute segment things here and there. But I think Apple TV is going to be the hub and maybe there'll be a talk show that Apple TV is going to unveil. Maybe that's what's coming down the pipeline, and that's where the extra time hosts are going. I don't know.
Who knows?
Well, although didn't they post extra time on Apple TV? I don't remember. Did they?
Maybe.
So I don't.
Here's the problem. We, as quite invested fans, don't know the answer to that. That's a problem. Like, I spend so much time on MLS Season Pass on an annual basis.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically something that it may as well be the default screen that my TV opens to when I turn it on. And yet I can't tell you where to find things on Season Pass.
It is quite confusing, yeah.
I really hope that gets an update this year.
Yeah, that'd be good. So they had a link to MLS podcasts on Season Pass. Our podcast was not included.
Oh, by the way, I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Bummer. But yeah. So it was a link out to Apple Podcasts, which makes sense.
Is what it is. I don't
It is what it is.
How many people are clicking on that link either, though? Like, let's be real. They put it onto MLS Season Pass, right?
Yeah.
How many people are watching MLS Season Pass from a device that they also use to listen to Apple Podcasts?
Right. Not a lot. And then going the extra mile to click that link.
And then going the extra mile to listen to the various podcasts, form an opinion about which one they like the most, and then follow it regularly. Boy, that's thought that counts, right?
The bare minimum thought.
Yeah. All right. Well, Gavin, I'll throw one last thing your way here before we wrap up the episode, which is some key dates coming up for the season here. I don't know. I don't think we've talked about it anywhere else. And, there's some interesting titles here.
Okay.
And when I say interesting titles, I really just mean the first set of key dates, which is MLS is Back weekend.
Yep.
For the record, I love that title, and I really miss the MLS is Back tournament.
Yeah. Just not realistic to have it on a annual basis, but
no,
what a great time.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
I had so much fun watching that. But MLS is Back weekend starts in February. I think it's the February 21st, 22nd, I want to say. And then you can fact check me on that one.
I remember seeing that we're 30 days away or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's quite early. And then you have Rivalry Week, which is the next major block. That is May 14 to May 18, which strikes me as a Wednesday to Sunday time slot. So I really hope they don't do all the rivalry matches on the same week. I thought we learned that lesson already, that's too many high-profile matches.
They've done Rivalry Week for years. Why wouldn't they stop doing it?
They at least sort of spread it out last season.
Yeah, they did. Like you would have a random Portland versus Seattle.
And they kind of had 2 weeks of Rivalry Week. It wasn't every single rivalry match all broadcast at the same time on the same weekend.
Yeah.
That's
also something to look forward to. The more prime time or one game in one time slot games.
Yep. I'll tell you right now, I was looking through the schedule for Cincinnati, and I noticed those 2:30 kickoffs that we had, and we have more of them this year. Yeah, which is fine. I'll tell you, I don't mind 2:30 kickoffs because I feel like I have the whole rest of the day ahead of me. I recognize I don't because I'm going to go home and watch soccer, but I feel like I have the day ahead of me.
So you said May 14th to when?
18th.
The 18th? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at the list here of games on the 14th. Right now, the key rivalries I see on that Wednesday is St. Louis versus Kansas City.
That's, yep.
The
Derby Q.
LAFC versus Seattle. They're just they're like a rivalry of just two good teams that have gone head to head a lot. But yeah, not really a rivalry. I'm not really seeing any others. Again, Toronto, Cincinnati, you guys aren't rivals, right?
No, that's not a rivalry.
DC, NYCFC, are they a rival? No. DC's with New York Red Bulls, right?
Or maybe
Philly, Charlotte, but Philly. Yeah. Okay. So Saturday the 17th, Montreal, Toronto.
Yep, normal.
Okay, so it's really Saturday. Montreal versus Toronto, NYC versus New York. We got the Hudson River there. Right. Hell is Real. Columbus versus Cincinnati. Atlanta versus Philadelphia. I don't know if that's a rivalry. Charlotte, Chicago. I don't know if that's a rivalry.
Not a rivalry. Nope.
Dallas, Houston. So we got a Texas Derby there. Nashville, DC, maybe.
Not a rivalry.
Portland, Seattle. So we have
rivalry. Yep.
That one.
Cascadia.
And Colorado, RSL. As well.
Cascadia 2.0. Oh, I don't remember.
Mountain Cup. Rocky Mountain Cup.
Yep. Really? And then, no El Tráfico?
No, well, Sunday.
Is that Sunday? Okay.
Sunday is the big one. Miami versus Orlando and El Tráfico.
Not a rivalry.
It's not a rivalry.
Not a rivalry.
Yeah. So they are.
It's Orlando, Atlanta is the rivalry.
Yeah. Yeah.
not Orlando, Miami.
All the big ones are that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's unfortunate.
Okay. Well, a shame because I won't be able to watch all of them. I wish I could.
To be fair, they are kind of spread out. Like Montreal, Toronto's at 2:30. Columbus, Cincinnati at 7.
Put Columbus, Cincinnati at 2:30 if you
Yeah,
wanted
I
to
know.
quote unquote spread things out,
But
right?
then like Dallas, Houston 8:30, so you won't really get to see that
No.
one.
Mm-mm.
Colorado, RSL 9:30, so you'd get to see that, or Portland, Seattle at 9:30. I know which one I'd rather watch. And then
Right.
Miami, Orlando, and LA Galaxy, LAFC. So like those are two separate time slots, 7 and 9 p.m. on Sunday. So I do think they are a little bit spread out, but not all the way spread out.
Yeah, the fact that it's a West Coast, like a Seattle Portland at 9:30 instead of 10:30, like what's the point of that? Why would you line that up on that side of things instead of sticking that at 10:30 so that you're not competing with the 8:30 kicks?
Look, this league
Maybe
doesn't make sense, okay?
correct, yeah. Maybe they looked at it and said, people started to drop off in that hour between the 7:30 kickoffs ending and the 10:30 kickoffs starting, and we don't have enough content at 9:30 and 8:30. So maybe that's the way they looked at it, but grumble, grumble.
Grumble, grumble.
Yep. Club World Cup and Gold Cup break. It's June 15th to 24. All Stars continues to be around. That's July 23rd. Then the Leagues Cup break, July 29 to August 31. Supposedly, we will see some changes to Leagues Cup this year. I don't think we've seen what those changes are. I don't think any schedules have been announced yet. In fact, in my ticket app, Cincinnati around the Leagues Cup time, it still just says TBA.
Interesting.
So no idea what's going on with Leagues Cup yet. All of my other tickets are available. Leagues Cup is not.
Right.
And then finally, Decision Day, October 18, which again feels like that gets later every single year.
When was it this year?
I think it was around that time as well. But that just means, MLS Cup is still going to be a December match, and we're staying on this 2-month cycle, which is not a real off season.
That was Decision Day. I'm trying to do the research.
Did you just say when is Decision Day? I just told you it's October 18.
So Decision Day was October 19th, 2024.
Okay, yeah, so about the same spot.
Yep. Hey. Okay.
Oof, man.
Coming up quick.
Yeah, it is coming up quick.
Well, that's all I've got, really.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think we were going to have that much to talk about this week, but turns out we actually had quite a lot to talk about this week.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about stuff.
It sure is. Wouldn't you
know? With the whole entire league to talk about.
Yeah. But when there's 30 teams to talk about, and we still don't manage to talk about all of them.
No.
Because I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about some of them. Like, we didn't talk much about Montreal. We didn't talk much about Vancouver. We skated around RSL.
Yep.
We didn't talk much about SKC, who I don't know if anyone wants to talk about SKC right now. Maybe that should be my stock down.
Yeah. I did look at SKC. I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Colorado. Ugh.
No, I don't know if Colorado's an ugh.
No, SKC.
There's plenty worse teams than Colorado.
Who won Supporter Shield? Who won the
Miami?
No. The other one. Who won the
MLS Cup?
Oh.
San
Jose, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is SKC's year. I think this is the year.
This is the year. And Peter Vermees isn't going to be fired either.
Ugh. They have...
Ugh.
Yeah. So, yikes. Didn't talk about St. Louis either.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Yeah. That's okay.
We love you all.
No worries.
We love all the teams. We love all the fans.
We do love all the teams and the fans. But you know what, Gavin? We also love the listeners, though, more than anything. So To which I, of course, have to say thank you very much to everyone who continues to listen to the podcast, for everyone who continues to tune in, especially as the season goes by. Well, the off season goes by, and we're rapidly approaching the kickoff of the new season. We hope that everyone is ready for more content. If you're not ready, it's too bad. You're going to get the content anyways. So, anyways, with that said, just a quick reminder, you can find Gavin on social media at LionsBlog1. Find me on social media at Mr. Danger Russ. Most importantly, though, you can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. Gavin, any final words before we sign off for at minimum 5 days, potentially 7?
Thanks for listening. Really appreciate it.
That's right. All right. Well, with that said, we appreciate it indeed. Listeners, Gavin, till next time.
Till next time.